What's going on, guys? 𝐒𝐥𝐢𝐚𝐥𝐬 here, and we are back. 2-year hiatus. Better late than never, but I'll get to that in another video. I'm going to spoil this video right now in the first 20 seconds. Well, I already spoiled it. It's in the title, and that is to wait for light. When you go shoot sunrise, just wait a little bit longer. I've noticed that when I go and shoot sunrise, people leave all around me. I'm the last one there, and I'm like, do I not know something? So I have a little story to tell about going to shoot sunrise, being the last person there, and probably being the only person that got a shot. So stay tuned. Alright, so I have a little secret to admit, and that is that everything you just watched was definitely not in order, timeline order. A lot of that was filmed after I took some photos, but did you really know until I told you? Did you? Anyways, so I actually went on this trip to try to see what the sunrise would be like at this location. I had only been there a couple times. I just moved to Colorado a few months ago. Oh yeah, by the way, I don't know if you couldn't tell, but it's not Florida with the mountains, the frigid cold snow, anything like that, you know, the frozen lake. Yeah, but it's great. I like it so far. Doing well. Anyways, I'll get more on that later. So I went to see what sunrise would be like, and I didn't really expect to come back with anything. I didn't expect to take a portfolio-worthy shot or to even make a YouTube video, but I did film some stuff to potentially, you know, get the oil moving and the gears to try to start YouTube up again. One of the limitations I had, though, was I only had one camera, and that was this 5D Mark IV. So I couldn't really film myself taking the photos, but realistically it probably wouldn't have mattered anyways. The audio would have been garbage with 30, 40 mile an hour winds. So why did I end up making this video? It's because I learned a valuable lesson from those people around me, that they didn't wait long enough for the best light. We hiked in, and it was, I want to say, you know, 10, 20 minutes before sunrise. But by the time everyone got there, there was probably 6 or 7 photographers as the sun was coming up. And it was very clear that they were all there for that beautiful red burn that we want in every morning or sunset photo. So this was the only red burn that we got on the mountains. And as you can tell, it was more like a red tint than it was a red burn. And this was the most. After this, it started to fade. Now right behind us, while this was happening, was this beautiful red burning sky, and everyone turned their cameras around, started trying to find compositions, but realistically there just weren't any there. And I'm the type of person that says, well, if the light's changing this quickly, what if it changes on where my composition that I want is? So I stuck with this, turned around, enjoyed the views, took a picture with my phone, and waited. And realistically the light just got worse and worse. And it wasn't for another like 20 minutes until the next shot, where the light had changed to more of a golden hue. I actually really like the way the light looks here on the mountain. The problem is it's not hitting any clouds behind it, so it kind of just looks like this weird blue-gray haze behind the mountains, and it's really not ideal. And after this point, the light kind of disappeared, so just a few minutes, 7 minutes to be exact, this is what the light looked like. And I want you to pay attention. Between these two exposures is literally just 1/20th of a second and 1/25th of a second. That's the only difference between these two exposures. That's how much the light was changing. So this was about the time everyone had started to pack up and leave. And honestly, I don't really blame them. We'd been there for like nearly an hour. The winds were relentless and it was pretty cold. And the weather had just been getting worse and worse, especially the light. And most people were like, okay, I'm good. But I had driven 2 hours, woke up after 3 hours of sleep, did that 30-minute sprint of a hike, and I kind of wanted to just say, all right, I'll wait a little bit longer. And I'm glad that I did, because just, I want to say, 5 minutes between these two shots. Look at the difference in light. Now, it's not the exact light that I want like this, but it's close. We have some clouds behind the mountains, and it's getting there. And that's when it happened. 6 minutes later. Now, here's the caveat. This shot was when I started to pack up. I said, okay, if this is the best light, it is what it is. Maybe I got something. And I started to put my tripod away, and it's always when the good light happens. As soon as you start to put those feet on the tripod, the world is like, all right, I'm gonna give you the best light you've ever seen. And at this point, I think I should just start playing a game of cat and mouse and just kind of close the legs, and then maybe it'll do it. But I was starting to close my legs. I was starting to close the tripod legs, and this is what happened. This was absolutely, in my opinion, the best light that morning. You've got that gorgeous golden light on the hills. Now, maybe it's not on the exact spots that we want, but it's there, and you have some nice golden light on the clouds, perfect separation. And guess what? I was the only photographer there. I waited, 10 extra minutes between when everyone was packing up and this point? 10 minutes. All of that time to get there, and all it took was 10 minutes of just waiting just a little bit longer to get light that, in my opinion, was better than any of the light from the rest of the morning. And this was my payoff. All right, so you probably noticed that that image looks a little bit better than what I just showed you in Lightroom, and that is because that is the image I chose to edit. Normally when I go on a trip, I have a ton of exposures, but realistically the light is only good for a few of them, and those are the ones I put the most time into. For that particular image, it's using 2 exposures, one for the background, one for the foreground, and then in each of those, it is 4 images using 4 focus points, and I focus stack them. Something I will get to in a later YouTube video, so be on the lookout for that. So like I said at the beginning of the video, the lesson here is to just be patient. I hope the examples I showed you, talking about when people left and when I stayed, really drive it home, because for me, I tried to leave, and I would not have got that last shot if I had left when everyone else did. And it's a valuable lesson to remind myself, it's a valuable lesson to always remember, to just give it a couple extra minutes. I mean, if you can wake up after 3 hours of sleep and drive 2 hours and hike, you can wait an extra 10 minutes, even when it is freezing cold and windy. Just give it some extra time. A lot of the times you can tell when the light can change, when the clouds are changing a lot, when you've already seen a little bit of a glimpse of good light. Just give it some extra time. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes the weather is severe, it's gonna rain. Those are the times you can just chalk it up and say that. But if there's ever a time that you've packed up your camera like I have and walked away from a shot and then it's changed to where you wanted it and you missed it completely, those are the times I regret. So if I can just remind myself, don't do that, wait a couple extra minutes, walk away and know that I got the best light or waited for the best light, that brings me peace of mind. So I hope this teaches you a valuable lesson, and thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Coming back to YouTube, it definitely feels weird being behind the camera again, but I really appreciate you checking me out again. Thanks. Now that I have the nervous jitters out of the way, I can start filming myself by myself in my basement. I can't believe that this is what YouTube is. Me, by myself, talking to a camera in my basement. Yep.